All right, thank you, Mr. President. I've got a couple of gentlemen here today from the SBDC. I've known them maybe a little less than a year now, but they provide a great service for business customers in the area. So we have two speakers, Chris Youngmark. Prior to joining Bradley University on March 1st, 2022, Chris served the Illinois SBDC from January 2021 to February 2022 as a rural outreach coordinator to support the e-commerce initiative for restaurants and retailers through the CARES Act, creating e-commerce solutions and positioning businesses to have an effective online presence. He has advised clients on COVID-19 assistance programs such as PPP, EIDL, and restaurant revitalization, among other SBA initiatives. Beginning in August of 2021, Chris also has been a community navigator among a network of business advisors, providing grant and technical assistance to 6 local counties as the SBDC serves as the hub partner for the GPEDC, follow all that, to implement the state of Illinois' Back to Business grant. Eric Sampson, he joined Bradley on May 4th, 2020 as the director of the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Bradley University. He advises individuals who want to start a business or expand existing businesses. Areas of assistance include developing business and marketing plans, financial projections, business formation issues, and obtaining financing. He also assists owners and managers of existing small businesses to identify solutions to business-related problems to expand and diversify their sales. Without further ado, Eric's going to speak first.
Thank you so much. Let's see here. You hit the biggest button and you're in line. So, as Steve mentioned, I joined the Small Business Development Center at the Turner Center for Entrepreneurship as its director, basically right as the pandemic was breaking out. In fact, my final, I call it the gauntlet of in-person interviews, wrapped up. After about 4 hours on campus, I went to my car to decompress, turned on the radio, and was promptly told that the students would be sent home for spring break and told to keep their cooties in their own hometowns and not come back to school. So for the first 17 months of my tenure, I worked entirely remotely. Bradley's got a beautiful multi-million-dollar business and engineering convergence complex. I actually put my key in the lock of my office door twice in that first 17 months. So it's been a challenging environment for small business, I think. So we're really fortunate to have the opportunity to work in one of 35 small business development centers across the great state of Illinois. We are one of the oldest and best funded and largest staffed centers in Illinois as well. So we've been working with clients for about 37 years, starting back in '85. What's wonderful about our services is they are provided at no cost to our clients. We work in a confidential and collaborative manner with our clientele. And we're excited to be able to offer those services at no charge due to the fact that we're funded through the Small Business Administration of the federal government and working in concert with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity at the state level, and of course with matching funds from our host organization, the great Bradley University. It was fun to hear some of the nice tie-ins to Bradley here in this community today. I actually came to Bradley University first as a student back in 1988. And after a career as an investment broker first and then as a commodities broker for some 20 years, I started a small business of my own, developing trading systems for the financial futures markets. And while I was doing that, I was selling some residential real estate for Jim Maloof Realtor, a name you've probably heard in this area. And then I spent a little bit of time as a mortgage loan originator. So what's great, I feel, about the background that I have is that it has geared me for being open to hearing all the creative and interesting ideas that small business and potential entrepreneurs have in order to try to bring their visions to life. And that's what our Small Business Development Center is geared up to do. We also, beyond the Small Business Development Center work, We also have specialists in our center who are able to assist in developing export business through our International Trade Center for businesses that need to prepare and position themselves for success in government contracting work at the local, state, and federal level. We have a procurement technical assistance center. We also have the Peoria Next Innovation Center, which is a great community asset that works as an incubator, providing below market office space and lab space for startup businesses. We also have some assistance in that regard from the director of the Peoria Next Innovation Center, is also an expert in intellectual property, so he can guide small businesses navigating the waters of copyright, trademark, and patent issues. And of course, we also, and one of the newest things that we've added here is the ability to assist in social media advising. Obviously, that's a hot button topic. We have tremendous demand in our center for advising in that area, so we're excited about that. We also, of course, coordinate with our partners at the Turner School of Entrepreneurship. We put together teams of students to accomplish the senior capstone or senior consulting projects, which provides a real world learning experience for the students and also allows some of our small businesses in the area to get some expert consulting advice from teams of students with different backgrounds. So, when it comes to entrepreneurship, what we find is that many people who are just starting to think about putting together a vision to accomplish their new business simply just don't know what they don't know. So we really encourage people to participate in what we call our Starting Your Business in Illinois workshop. This is a workshop that we offer virtually, usually, 2 times a month, and it's a great overview of the many topics that are shown here. So we can assist people in understanding, what do I have to do in order to establish my business? Do I need to interact at the county level or at the state level with with the Secretary of State's office? Do we need to, how do we go about getting a tax ID for our business? How do we go about registering to collect sales tax? Some of these fundamental issues and things like that. Then we talk a little bit more about regulatory compliance, the importance of protecting your assets and preventing loss through liability. Talk a little bit about insurance, record keeping, filing taxes, Ellen. We also, of course, talk about the importance of developing a written business plan, ways that you can go about preparing yourself for success with banking, potentially with borrowing. And then we talk also for those that are going to be employing additional personnel about the fact that we do have to prepare themselves for dealing with unemployment insurance and workers' comp issues as well. So we also really strongly advise people to understand that while they'll be expected to be responsible for many, many different aspects of their business, we realize that they're not going to be experts in all those areas. In fact, it's probably best that they spend their effort and their hard work building the product or service or connecting with the clientele that they're hoping to serve and relying on experts in the community on these additional subject matter areas, such as tax or insurance or accounting and bookkeeping, those types of things. So again, we try to encompass a lot of different aspects in that, but we find that that's a good foundation for people that have not before run a business of their own. And we are then able to follow on with that. They can request one-on-one advising, which we provide many, many, many hours of advising sessions throughout the course of each week in and out throughout the year. So let's see here. And with that, I'm going to introduce our assistant director, Chris. Chris has some exciting information about some new programs that are built.
Thank you, Eric. Great job in introduction. I am Chris Youngmark. I'm the assistant director of the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Bradley University. I'm also a small business owner myself. I own and operate the Farm Sitter LLC out of Mackinac, Illinois, so thefarmsitter.com if you want to check it out. I'm just going to give a quick introduction about myself and sort of my journey to get to this point. In December of 2020, height of the pandemic, I responded to a career posting online for an e-commerce project to help restaurants and retailers to position themselves to get online, to compete in a changing marketplace. So I came from an e-commerce background. It was a 3 to 6 month project, 10 hours a week. Sure, sounds great, no big deal. And I jumped in. Well, by January of 2021, my boss, Jim Foley, approached me and said, Chris, actually first, do we have any bankers in the audience? Yeah, all right. So he said, Chris, what do you know about PPP? And would you like to take on some additional responsibility? And I thought to myself, in my mind, I was thinking, well, what the heck is PPP? But I heard myself saying yes at that time. And why not? Give it a shot, right? So I said yes. I liked the job that I was doing. I liked advising. I knew I could help and relate as a small business owner. So I jumped in. And that's when I realized that what I was jumping into. It wasn't just the deep end. My arms and legs were bound behind my back. I was jumping into a pool that also was a wave pool. And I was really in over my head. But I took the approach of communicating and relating with people. I listened to about 8 months worth of podcasts talking about SBA and PPP. I made some friends remotely that could educate me, and I spent hours comparing and reading SBA guidelines and revision after revision after revision for what proved to be an ever-moving target, right? But by March of that year, 2021, I was calling the banks to let them know about new rulings, about new changes that helped the smallest of businesses gain access to this program. Arguably, the folks that had the most invested personally and the most to lose personally related to their business. So, it felt like a David versus Goliath moment, but we had some victories, and that's something that I think I can really hang my hat on through that effort. So, I'm really grateful for this role. I owe a lot to Mr. Sampson here for giving me the opportunity, but along with the entire Turner Center team and the Bradley University folks. We're afforded the opportunity to offer our assistance and guidance and expertise to the people that need it most, and we all relish that opportunity. So, but let's get back to business. Okay? In 2021, the state of Illinois announced the Back to Business program, the first iteration of it, and with that, they created a network of community navigators. So I'm a navigator. There's about 100 of us spread throughout the state, and I guess I didn't change my. There we go. Thanks, Jeff. We operate under a hub and spoke model. So the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council is the hub for this region, and the SBDC is one of the spokes, along with the Minority Business Development Center, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Most of the chambers of commerce in this area are also spokes. There's 10 organizations. But we're here to help people to understand and, if necessary, provide technical assistance to apply for state programs. And so just last week, the Back to Business grant, called version 2.0, opened up. It's open for the next month. And this is really targeted at restaurants, taverns, caterers, food services, basically, hotels, motels, inns, and as well as creative arts businesses. So if you haven't heard about this yet, I'm available to have a conversation anytime, as are our entire team. But there's $175 million that are going to these specific industries. So if you haven't had help yet, especially restaurants, if you haven't received any state help yet, that's what this program is for. And if you're accepted and if your application is approved, you're eligible and you get in, you're guaranteed a grant with this program, right? So the website is at the bottom there, illinois.gov/BTV. You can find the rules and regs for that, but we are all here to help people navigate that portion. So I'm going to turn it back over to Eric, I think, for our next slide. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. So one of the things that you may have seen on one of the previous slides was that we encourage our small business people to network. And one of the things that we take upon ourselves is also to make sure that we're working as proudly and as with the utmost availability to our collaborative partners, also working to support small business development in the region. So we work alongside the Busey Bank Bridge project that's working downtown. We work closely with the Minority Business Development Center, augmenting some of the services that they're providing to small businesses. We work with our friends at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, SCORE, Better Business Bureau, 1 Million Cups, which is a networking opportunity for small business owners and entrepreneurs. We encourage people to join their local service organizations. Imagine that. Because one of the things that can happen when you are trying to build your own small business is you can feel like you're on an island all alone and you're trying to fumble your way or find your way through these different challenges, that type of thing. And we really encourage people to reach out because chances are, within an arm's length, they'll probably find other people who have been through similar challenges, and maybe that connection to that next step or that next box in the network that opens doors or allows them to tackle some of those challenges or overcome some of the pitfalls and challenges that they may have run across. With that in mind, we're also participating with Morton and with Peoria County in what's known as the Smart Start Dashboard. Actually, the founder of the Smart Start Dashboard was actually somebody who had gone through our Brave Launch business incubator and accelerator program that our SBDC ran a couple years ago. And they have built a tremendous tool for also assisting the small business owner and entrepreneur to find resources and subject matter experts within the community that can help them along a logical path toward growing and building their business.
So I would be remiss if I wasn't talking about rural support. This is part of the area that I was hired for as well, is bridging those rural connections with the offerings and resources of our communities. Listed here, just some of our partners when it comes to rural support. We work closely with the Greater Peoria EDC, Kathy Brown and Sally Hanley over there, University of Illinois Extension, Richard Proffers, the director in the local chapter, the Morton Ag Tech Connect Group. Want to highlight the hardest working woman in economic development, Leanne Brown, heads up that program. And that's really a fun group to be a part of. If you have an interest in agriculture or farming, and even more specifically, a combination of agriculture and technology, this is a group to join up with. We have purposeful collisions, trying to spark innovation and conversation and partnerships, growing the agricultural base of Central Illinois. So a really great group to meet with, and we have quarterly meetings for that. I think the next upcoming one, I don't have the date offhand, but I think it's going to be at the USDA Ag Lab here in Peoria too. So. Local business development associations, economic development councils, great relationships with City of Elmwood, Chillicothe, Metamora, Eureka. So great opportunities for us to share information that they can disseminate to their members, but also they know they can turn to us to ask for questions and current events and updates. I did want to highlight America's SBDC. Our chapter here in Peoria is part of Illinois' SBDC network. We're also part of the America's SBDC network, so represents 50 states and 4 territories. So a big group, but there are rural applications and interests from across the nation, so we're talking in that same space. And just to show of hands, does anybody live outside of Peoria in a community, we'll say 10,000 or less, smaller? Okay. All right. Well, this is a great opportunity for businesses and those smaller communities to look at federal funding or support funding. And so we collaborate with development and private business and community support to bring that around. So I wanted to highlight those areas. Moving into the next slide, we do have some upcoming events to point out for you. We have an official Grow with Google partnership. And so we share some practical work tools that Google offers through workshops and webinars. The best thing about this partnership, I've got a phone number for Google and they answer. So if that's ever been an issue for you, you can become a client and no cost, of course, but we're happy to have that relationship and getting real practical information out to our audience. Erica's going to be teaching a business plan writing workshop coming up next month. On there is the Design Thinking for Entrepreneurs. That's our next in-person workshop at the Peoria Next Innovation Center. We have a 5-part series on international trade coming up. We're hosting an SBA lender forum. If there's any other bankers that would want an invitation to that, you're welcome to. And you can see some of our recent offerings. And you can always go to our website, bradley.edu/Turner Center, to see what's coming up. So with that, Eric's got one more piece.
All right. Thanks for hanging on with us, everybody. So one of the highlights of our annual work is the opportunity to celebrate some of the success stories of small businesses and entrepreneurship in this area. And many of you, of course, are familiar with some of our prior winners, but last year, we got the opportunity to highlight the work of Ice Steam Studio and Velocity Labs, which is a new tenant at the Peoria Next Innovation Center, working in research related to biotechnology and in support of pharmaceutical companies. But we have, again, no shortage of creativity and innovation in the greater Peoria area. If anybody tells you differently, and I would suspect that most of the people in this room already are aware, but if anybody tells you that nothing's happening in Peoria, they're not looking very hard, right? There's an awful lot going on. So we would like to invite any of you who are interested in understanding, how the SBDC works and celebrating with us some of the upcoming winners. We'll be holding some nominations for this year's winners coming up soon. But save the date, August 31. We'd love to invite you to campus to celebrate with us and recognize these small businesses and entrepreneurs who are, doing amazing things just right here in our midst. And as I mentioned at the outset, we are thrilled to be able to provide our services to support and grow small business in the area in a collaborative and confidential and at no cost to the client manner. So thanks again for reaching out, or thank you for inviting us, Peoria Rotary North, to speak with you. And we encourage you that if you know small business people or entrepreneurs or people who are considering taking the leap to start a small business, reach out to our center. We'd be happy to talk.
Questions?
Lynn? Thanks. Can you go back like maybe 3 or 4 slides where you talked about the arts grants and caterers and restaurants? Can I take a pic of that, please? And then
I got a picture of it.
I thought maybe you did, but just in case. Perfect. Send it to me. And then I know we have students here, and we have people, and you listed some of the people you've helped in the last year. Like Source, the Asian carp, Roy, right? He was here, talked to us, and did a great presentation. What other companies would we know that have come into you and said, I'm trying to get started? Just, that it can be done, right? That the dream's alive. What, that we would know, people walk in and say, hey, I got a business plan. I got this idea. Help me get started. What's been successful?
Sure. So this is the part where I have to underline the part where we remind everybody that we offer services in a confidential manner.
Sure.
So I'm happy to discuss some of the clients that, of course, have been celebrated in the past and have signed the ability to say, yes, we'd love to have a little bit of fanfare made around us. Obviously natural fiber welding, is a huge success story that was birthed out of the chemistry department of Bradley University, and then in support with our prior technology commercialization director that we had at the center by the name of Chad Stamper, was very heavily involved in working on the collaborative nature of supporting that commercialization of that technology and so forth. So of course that's one. Virtue Sense Technologies, which is providing protection against falls in hospitals and nursing facilities, is another one that's a really exciting one. At the Peoria Next Innovation Center, IntelliHot, which is making tankless water heaters that you're finding now in, facilities as large as some of the major NFL football stadiums and so forth, also came through this process. So we've worked with a lot of very small and very large companies. Our goal, of course, is to help everybody that wants to grow, but we also tell people we're here also for the solopreneurs, right? The one-person operation that says, how can I pursue my passion? I have this idea and I want to connect with these particular clients, or I want to produce this particular type of product and really have a passion and a drive to accomplish that. And they just need a few tangible steps to make that become a reality. And that's really what our Small Business Development Center is here for.
Thanks.
I have a question. I find it a little bit odd. COVID, March 2020, now 3 years later, here's a program for grants, 5,000. It seems a little, the barn door has closed, and if businesses either have made it through the gauntlet or they haven't. Why is this coming so late?
That's a great observation. And it is late. It doesn't address the businesses that have started post-COVID or during COVID. That's still forthcoming, unfortunately, as well. This is really an intent to reach out to the businesses that haven't gotten any help yet, that missed out on all the other opportunities. And so it's kind of a guarantee. If you get in, you're going to get funded for this. But you're right, it's a little bit too late. That's Illinois politics for us.
How much is the restaurant grant?
The restaurant grant is $50 million, but if you receive prior state funding, you're ineligible for this program.
But what might somebody receive?
Minimum $5,000 up to $250,000. So it's a comparison to your 2019 tax return. So if you lost money, which everybody did. But yeah, that's a fair question. I don't know when, but there is a program that's aimed for those businesses that started March 12th, 2020 and after the startups, but it just hasn't materialized, unfortunately.